Hello, welcome to another Catch Up with Mayo live stream. I try to be here on Saturdays every week. Try to be here around this time, late afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern, something like that. And we should have a lot to talk about if you're interested in talking about the Boys of Dungeon Lane, the McCartney album. That's what everybody's talking about. Was into music, was into the Beatles, into Paul McCartney. I even wore a Paul McCartney shirt today for the occasion. And I just want to say hi to a few people like Gary. Hello, Gary. And hello, Ramoga. Hello, James. And it's funny when I set up here with StreamYard, I always come on through StreamYard. And it was a different approach this time. It wanted to check my sound, and it wanted to see if my mic was working and all this. Hopefully, you're all hearing me fine and everything is working okay. Because it was a little bit of a change from the usual way that I deal with it. So, okay, everything okay? Everybody, am I coming through? Hello, Johnny. Hi, Douglas. Hello, Bernard from Paris. Hello, how are you? Thank you. You're tired of summer. Are you kidding? Do you know how much cold, breezy weather I've had the heat on yesterday in the car. It is almost. It's 2 days until June, for God's sake, and we're freezing it. It's right now on my computer screen. It says it's 57 degrees. Deplorable. Hello in the UK. Thank you for joining us here. I'm here to see which Paul McCartney shirt you would wear. Well, it's funny because I've got like that closet back there with Ringo's face on it. I've got a lot of shirts in there hanging up, but I don't usually go in that closet. It's kind of covered up, so I don't really get a chance to go in there. Okay. Hey, Penny Lane. What's the good word? And hello, Star Power. All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Chip. Then you can hear, I love summer. Come on, summer. Since it's loud enough for you. Hello, Laura. Okay, coming from Scotland. That's nice. I like when people come from all areas, all across the globe. And hello, Robbie. And hello, Conga Man. All right. So what's going on? What do people want to talk about? Now, I realize out there were a lot of other channels, Beatles related channels, and now that something exciting is going on, Paul McCartney's new album, of course, everybody's going to want to talk about it on their own channels. I get that. And they're all having their own shows and stuff like that. But if anybody's out there watching me right now, any of the Beatle people, anybody, and you want to come up just to talk about, the album or whatever, you can do that too. I think I'll ask for a link if you happen to be somebody that, you want a link, we'll see how that goes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see here. Pirate Gamer Boy. Hello. Yeah. And you're right. Paul is really promoting this album and he's all over the place. I just saw one with him when he was with the chicken girl or whatever. He was in like the little restaurant. I don't know if he was eating chicken. He doesn't eat meat, but ketchup on it or something. That was ridiculous, that interview. And of course, he talked about how he dreamt up the song yesterday again. The listening party video looked like a fun time. Well, it was. Of course, I couldn't record everything because there was music playing, and you don't want to get in trouble with the music. That's the only thing. Oh, you just saw. I see. You just saw the listening party. Okay, video. Okay, yeah. I mean, there are not many people who don't like the McCartney video album. Not many people who don't like the new McCartney album, and people who do, a lot of them are just trying to be outrageous. This blows my mind. We're talking about outrageous. This blows my mind. The new Paul album is on me. This is incredible, and this actually helps me because right now, as some of you know, I'm going through some stuff with dental issues that are going to be expensive and all that, and that's a headache. Robbie, your generosity is incredible. Thank you so much, my friend, and Thank you also for your service, as I say when I remember. I don't always remember everything. That is really incredible. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Let's see. The ranking. Yeah, I want to tell people know already, right? This album here finally got a vinyl copy. The Boys of Dungeon Lane. I want to talk about this. There's nothing worse when you're doing a channel and you make a video, and after you've made the video, it's then that you realize there's something you should have said in the video, but I didn't notice this. And I'll talk about it in a moment here. Yeah, we're going to do Matthew Street and I from the Matthew Street channel. You probably know already. We're going to be doing a special show on the album, the new Paul album, and that's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow, May 31st, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be ranking the songs. And I've got my list. I just did it. It wasn't easy. But I ranked the 14 songs on the new album from my least favorite, I think, right now to the most favorite. And Matthew's busy doing his, and we're going to be here live doing it. And if anybody wants to play along, you can do that. We take one song at a time. We say, okay, now I was going to start with number 14. What's everybody's opinion for 14? And, we'll put some opinions up there, some people's choices. But anyway, did you hear that Frankie Valli canceled all his shows for health reasons? I did. I did, James. I saw something briefly about that. I hope George is here. Music for all 4 seasons. How many silver vinyl copies did your store get? Only 8 at mine. Got 1, though. Good for you. Well, I've already heard that the silver vinyl copies are already going for $300 to $500, I think. I don't know if anybody's buying them. It's one thing for what a seller asks. It's another thing for what people are willing to pay. But anyway, I didn't count them at my store, but I'm going to say they had a good 20 or so, maybe more. They seem to have a good amount there. I'll be honest with you. And I only got 1. I'm not the type to buy 2. I don't know if they were going to sell anybody more than 1, or maybe 2. I should have got another one for reasons like that, but I really don't do it. Now what's this? Ranking his 20 solo LPs, including Wings. I've done that before a couple of times. I'll have to update it one day myself and add the Boys of Dungeon Lane in there. Oh yeah. So I wanted to say, let me just say about this. Okay. Now when I looked at this, you see, I don't yet have a copy of a vinyl except for this, right? And I want to have one because I'm getting the green one. The green one is going to have these letters here, numbers and letters in green instead of red. It can be green vinyl. Excuse me. I'm getting also a black vinyl that's going to be a gatefold, but that cover will be standard white. This will be all white. And I was just talking with somebody about last night. I said, there's no indication on here that you can't tell it that this album inside here is a silver album. How do you tell? It doesn't say anything. I realized something. I thought when I looked at this, it looked kind of light colored. Like all I have really here for comparison is the CD cover. But if you look at the CD cover, I hope it shows up right well here. This is kind of light. The CD cover is much darker. See how dark that is? The black. That's gray. So silver. That's grayish silver. It's not as defined as the black. So I think that's how you tell that this would be the black vinyl cover, and that would be the silver, I think. Okay, I also neglected to mention, unfortunately, during my video, when I unveiled this, that this is also what's the word I'm looking for? Raised. It's raised. Embossed, is that the word I'm looking for? Funny how words fail you when you need the most, like right here in front of 90-something people. But anyway, yeah, this is raised, which is cool. So there you go. Okay, Paul does a similar talking intro like As You Lie There on Linda's song Wide Prairie. I like that album, the Prairie album, Wide Prairie, but I don't remember that song. Marcus, hello. You've been missing in action for a while. Hope everything's okay. Paul was talking about the Corky Chord opening As You Lie There. As You Lie There, the first opening track of the new album, is very, very popular with people. I like it. I like the song too. It's like the most popular song right now. People are saying they love that song, As You Lie There. And in my case, I like the song, but where do I rank it? Well, you'll have to see tomorrow's show live, or if you can't make it live, you watch the playback, and we'll rank all the songs. 4D Man, hello there. The King of England delivered my Dungeon Lane green LP yesterday. I haven't gotten it, and that sucks. Whenever, because I ordered the green LP and the Gatefold LP, two LPs from Paul McCartney's site. And, here in the United States, you don't get them. You do not get them the day of release. No way, Jose. Nor do you get them the day after today, apparently. I don't know when it's going to come. Monday, Tuesday, next week, who knows, next month? I don't know. Hello, Christopher. But yeah, I really try never to order anything from the Beatles sites unless I really have to, you know. So, hello, all about Beatles. Waiting for my copy from Blood Records. What a brilliant album. I hope it isn't his last. Well, if it is his last, and knowing Paul, he's always going to work. And don't forget, he's got at least, 11 tracks, 10 or 11 tracks left over that he recorded from this album. There's a good chance, who knows, there could be another album, maybe from taking those tracks, you know. Okay. Hi, Robert P. He just got his CD from Walmart. I'd like to know your opinion of the album. Come Inside is a very interesting song and video on YouTube. I did not see the video, but I do like the song. That's one of the songs on the album. Somebody told me, there are no rockers on here. I mean, Paul doesn't rock as much as he used to, but he definitely rocks the voice on the first song I just mentioned, As You Lie There. And also, he rocks on this song, I think. I think Come Inside is one of the more rockier tracks on there. Still waiting for my Target one. Okay. I could have went to Target and got one, but I didn't because I say I'm keeping it low. I'm only getting 2 colors and a black one. Okay, I enjoyed the Zane Lowe Apple interview where he talks about the arrangements of the songs. It was pretty cool. Did I see that one? I've seen a bunch of them, but I don't know if that's one of them that I've seen or not. John, how you doing, John? John Moreno, of course, frequent guest. Hello, Mike. What's the good word? What's a good word? Paul. That's a good name, I guess, right now. I don't know. Will this be his last record he'll be recording? What do you think about that? Well, knowing Paul McCartney, he never wants to stop to our benefit. He never stops. And it's hard to ever imagine Paul just stopping recording. But like I was saying earlier, he's already got some leftover songs, from this album recording. So if I got the vinyl, I'd get the embossed. Yeah, I like it. I like it embossed. Just because people are asking that much on eBay doesn't mean they'll sell for that. Exactly. I don't know. I don't usually do things like that. I don't really like when people out there, unscrupulous people, buy things up so they can sell them at a higher price, and then people who really want them can't get them, So I only bought one, but you never know. Like a fine wine, really. Quote, unquote. Once I hear McCartney songs with clarinets and the 20s swing, I switch off. Do you plan on playing a vinyl copy anytime soon or no? No, I actually don't. I'm sticking with the CD. I know I was watching Andrew Dixon's talk a little bit where he was saying there was a distinct difference between the vinyl and the digital CD version. It's just because, I have a turntable here, but there's stuff all around it. And it's hard to get to, it's a big project to get to it. And, as I'm talking here to you, I hear people or a person, I think upstairs it's identical to here. It's a bedroom, I think, of one of the young person living up there. So, I mean, I don't really I can't play the music loud if I play it here. Let's say that, you know. Have ordered mine from Paul's website. Haven't received it yet. Yeah, join the club, Elementary Penguin. Join the club. Yes, I did ask if they wanted to sell the ad display at the store, and they said no. I realized when I put the video up that anybody could well give anybody ideas, but they said no, and if they did, it wouldn't be for a long time yet, which I understand. I heard the album at least 10 times, and I'm loving As You Lie There and Come Inside, but the rest I'm just meh and skipping the singles. Well, don't skip tracks. If you skip tracks, in my opinion, you're never going to learn them. And again, I don't, as I've said many times, I don't want to learn tracks from every artist, but I am devoted to Paul McCartney, John, George, and Ringo. So when their albums come out, after all the years I've been into this, all the decades that I've been into this, of course I want to hear and learn and get to know all of them. So that's what I'm doing. Mr. Woodhaven, hello. Just want to remind everybody again, I'll be reminding them a few times that tomorrow, Sunday, that's 1 p.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be doing a live show with my friend Matthew Street. And Matthew Street and I will be trying to rank the songs from the new album, Boys of Dungeon Lane, from our least favorite track to our most favorite track at this point, only a day or two in from the release. Mama Gets By is one of my favorites on the album. That's the closing track. I don't think there are any classics on there, ones that will stand the test of time, though. I most certainly do. I think The Days We Left Behind is now going to be a classic. It's going to stand the test of time, right up there with Yesterday and The Long and Winding Road. You heard me. That's how much it's hit me now. And when it first came out, the first track dropped, Days We Left Behind, I wasn't ready to go there yet. Now I am. It's my opinion. I think As You Lie There is probably my favorite. A lot of people are saying that. Is it better than Flaming Pie? I would not say it's better than Flaming Pie, this album, yet. It's only been out a couple of days. But right now, I'm not ready to put it better than Flaming Pie. I do think already it's better than Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. And that's already, ruffled some feathers because some people don't think so. I think it's similar to Chaos and Creation in the Backyard in the sense that it's a little more, I don't know, sensitive and talking more about personal things and memories, things like that. However, it does have a little more rock on it in places, and it does have a little more pop on it in places. It's much more of a fun album than Chaos and Creation is. Okay, at least you can order them here in Germany. We cannot. Only 5 versions available. The cassette is cool, though. Yeah, I feel I may skip the cassette. It's funny because I always get the cassettes. I've gotten the cassettes of McCartney 3. I got the cassette of Egypt Station. I bought all Ringo's cassettes from his EPs and albums. But I don't know. I'm not buying every little thing anymore, but who knows? Cassette doesn't cost much. It just sits on the shelf and you can admire it. Okay, I agree with that. No way better than Flaming Pie. I will say that the term masterpiece has been used a bit too loosely. It's a fine album, but if this is a masterpiece, then there's other solo albums that need to be upgraded from great to masterpiece. Good point, Marcus. I think a lot of people have gone overboard, and that includes my friend that I'll be doing the live show with tomorrow. And just my opinion, yours may be different. Matthew Street, he really was really going crazy with his praise. I think it's a good album, even a very good album, but to me, it's not a masterpiece. The only thing about it is I think a lot of people want it to be that because Paul is now going to be, he's 83 as of today, he's 83, but June 18th, not too far from now, he's going to be 84. So he's close to 84. And of course, everybody wants to think, oh, this is Paul's last masterpiece. This is going to be one of the greatest albums he's ever done. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think it's highly respectable, a wonderful work. He succeeded. He hit it out of the park. And I also think that it's something he can be very proud of. and he spent a lot of time to get it right, and he did. I think he got it right. He hit a nerve. He hit a success. He did it. He did it. Whether I think it's one of his best, it's too early to say that. I'm not ready to say that now. I will say it's one of his very best of the last 25 years, 26 years, 21st century. Walls and Bridges and George Harrison's self-titled are two albums that come to mind. Yeah, I wouldn't call either one of those masterpieces, although I love both of them. I love Walls and Bridges and I love the George Harrison self-titled, but I wouldn't call them masterpieces. Let me see. Okay, Christian says, I think Life Can Be Hard and First Star of the Night are two gems. Okay, I can't share that opinion, but I'm not going to show my cards yet as to where I rank songs. But that's the beauty of stuff like talking about albums. Everyone can have a different opinion. Watching all the interviews, I hope Paul isn't wearing the same pair of submarine socks. Hope they're fresh on daily. Really smelly. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Okay, the silver vinyl does appear to be the hot ticket value wise currently. Yeah, for those out there that are looking to make a mint, apparently the silver vinyl right now is the most desired one. It's the hardest to get, I believe. Hi, Jeff. Says I'm really enjoying the new album. I'm glad you are. A lot of people are. There are only a couple of people that I've encountered in my many comments that I've gotten under my video saying that they think this thing stinks and it's garbage and all that. Most of them are just trying to, get people upset. And they're trying to they're just trying to they're not even genuine. They're just saying that. Hello, George. Have you heard the news that was mentioned here? Right? Of course, you've heard the news. Frankie Valli is it true or is it bullshit that he's stepping down now due to health problems, health concerns? Maybe not. Maybe not problems, but concerns. Thoughts on Dungeon Disc? I don't know how to answer that question. So Dungeon Disc. Hi, John again. I got the Amoeba Records exclusive, the PM LP cover art, yellow vinyl, and the postcards. Very good. Yeah, I didn't like the design much, so I didn't get it. I saw the Zane Lowe interview myself. Interesting black and white photos of the Hamburg days and Paul's youth. Very good. It's a second mention of that. Changing the topic to John, have you seen the Borrowed Time documentary? It took a while to get here, but it's pretty good. I'm not interested in seeing it that much because I know what it's going to be. From what I've heard, it's going to be a lot of talking heads. Not that I mind talking heads in documentaries and biographies, mind you. There's a lot of information, a lot of people who knew John or whoever the subject is of a documentary. A lot of people know them. And it could be very interesting, but I know what this is going to be. It's and it was on YouTube for a while, but it was a long version. I actually started watching it and skipping around, and it was really a bit much. And I feel like I've seen all that kind of stuff already about John, but I suppose at some time I will settle in. Maybe I will do that, and now I have a way of getting YouTube on my big 55-inch television screen. I know how to watch it there. Maybe I will if it's still on YouTube. I don't know. Picture disc thoughts. Collectible? Well, that's a matter of opinion, individual opinion. I did not buy the picture disc for Boys of Dungeon Lane. Now, I'm still a fan and I'm still a collector. So when other people say, hey, I just got the picture disc, and they hold it up, you're like, you start salivating a little bit. But, you gotta be able to be strong and say, and it's not that hard right now for me. I mean, but I'm not getting the picture disc. There's so many interesting interviews with Paul for this album. I watched the one with all the pictures scattered on the table last night. Very intimate and informative. I don't think I saw that one. He's really promoting the album, thankfully. He does that a lot. Paul is usually good at promoting new albums, and he's really promoting this one. On Spotify, the album photos come to life as the music plays. I've got a cough going here. I think Mountaintop is my favorite so far. Yes, Mountaintop is a good one. It's one of my favorites on the album too. I've gotten to the point now out of the 14 tracks where I really, really like nine. Nine of them I really like. The other five are not as really likable. I mean, and they're not bad. To me, none of the tracks on the album are bad, but nine of them I really like, and the other five right now at this point, I'm kind of like, yeah, they're okay. They're pretty good. That's how I am right now with it. I'm enjoying the new album. There are a couple of tracks that I don't like as much as the others, but the whole thing makes an enjoyable listening experience, I think, with a few big standout tracks. That's what I would say. The whole thing flows pretty nice. I think that the first half of the album, if you want to say side one, is better. I think for me, my opinion, as it goes on later on, if you want to say side two, or if you want to say later on the CD, and that happens with other albums too. I found that happened with Egypt Station for me. It started out stronger, and then it kind of went down as it went. And with this one, I say goes down. I don't mean that to be a bad thing, because I think every song on the album is pretty good. I don't dislike any of the songs. That's one thing. But I think there's some songs that start to sound the same, start to sound more acoustically, or more laid back. You know, will tomorrow's episode be called Fab Gab? Ultimately, yes, it will be a Fab Gab episode tomorrow. Once again, join us, tomorrow live. Me and Matthew Street, we're going to be talking about the songs and ranking them from our least favorite song on the new album by Paul to our most favorite song on the album. And that is tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Paul, aka Dinner with Greedo, what's going on? I'm loving the album, although repeated listens is making me like some track less. That's interesting. That's really interesting. That might be the first time I've ever heard that. But for the most part, still think it's a good album. Mama Gets By is my favorite. Now I'm hearing high things about high. Get it? Papa gets high. Mama gets by while Papa gets high. But I'm hearing like high ratings for Mama Gets By, which is the last track. And I'm hearing high ratings for As You Lie There, which is the first track. Interesting. Do you actually have a favorite John Lennon album that you really like? Because my favorite one is Plastic Ono Band, and I'm talking about the Ultimate Box that came out in 2021. The thing I always say is I think that Plastic Ono Band, John's first really official, proper studio album, is probably his best work. That might be John's masterpiece. Talking about masterpiece, that might be John's masterpiece. However, although I think John sings really well on it, I think some of the best vocals and singing he's ever done. It's too dour, and obviously you have to be. It helps to be in a depressed mood. I don't usually get that bad. When I was a teenager, when I first heard it, I was kind of like, yeah, I had like any teenager, I had my periods of depressions or angst or confusion, and that helped. That album helped. Now I'm not usually in the mood for it. So anyway, I think I put Imagine as my favorite now. So I think Imagine is my favorite, and also Walls and Bridges. But I think Plastic Ono Band is the best. You know what I mean? Favorites and best, two different things. Sometimes they go together. You get extra resonating. How do you say that? Resonances, resonates more, and connections by hearing all the tracks repeatedly. Some little revelations in there. Amen. I've noticed that with a lot of Paul albums. A lot of Paul albums, believe it or not, didn't all grab me right away. But after the third listen or so, I start hearing more guitar here or there, or strings, or nuances, or effects, or I start paying more attention to the words, the lyrics, or maybe I didn't catch a lyric before. You can't really get it all in one listen. However, there are some albums that you hear the first time and you love the album immediately. For me, that happened last year with Ringo's wonderful album, Look Up. As soon as I heard, I immediately loved that album. Happened to me with the Rolling Stones album, Hackney Diamonds. I have not heard the new Rolling Stones album yet. I think it comes out in July. But the producer, Andrew Watt, I'm hearing some people don't like Andrew Watt and production. I love it. And I thought he really elevated the Stones' Hackney Diamonds, and I think it really elevates this new Paul album. So Hackney Diamonds, I liked immediately, every track. Ringo's Look Up, I liked every track. Most of Paul's albums, going back a long ways, even into like 1980, and McCartney 2, and even Tug of War, believe it or not. I had to play it like a couple. I play Paul's albums because what I think I'm looking is I'm like trying to learn the hooks, trying to learn the earworms, trying to find all the like the resonance and stuff like that. If I did the word right, what resonates, and you pick that up on listens more, repeated listens. Earth versus the Spider is on Svengoolie tonight, and even though I know all those 1950s delicious monster films, I don't really know that one well, believe it or not, so I can't say much on that one. And speaking of monster movies, I know Cherry Carter likes horror movies. Hello to you. And you watched War of the Satellites Friday night. I think I might have seen that, but I'm not. Sometimes you can't associate it with the movie, but the title. I'm still sure if Paul tours and he adds some tunes off his album, people will switch off or be alienated. I don't know. I'm wondering if he would what he would do. I would think he would on tour. I would think he would do Days We Left Behind, and I would think that it would be fun for him to do Home to Us. I guess even if Ringo's not there, he could still sing it by himself. But Flaming Pie was better. Chaos was better too. This is same level as Egypt Station. Okay. I think Flaming Pie was better, but I don't think Chaos was better. The thing, again, I should say is there were some songs on Chaos that are better than some of the songs here. Let's get that straight. There's some songs that like Too Much Rain is great to me. Too Much Rain, Jenny Wren, Riding to Vanity Fair. I mean, there's certain songs on Chaos and Creation in the Backyard that are really, really great. And there's songs on here, Dungeon Lane, that are great. But overall, the overall feeling, I think I get more of a introspective feeling with this album, but yet a little more, slightly more up, than Chaos. And I think it's kind of like Imagine in a way. Think about that. I never thought of that. It's like I never thought of that. I always compared Paul's album Chaos and Creation in the Backyard to John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band, because it was kind of serious and it was him getting vulnerable and talking about his feelings a lot. And then Imagine came afterwards, and it was still personal and deep, but yet John called it like it was just Plastic Ono Band with chocolate on top. They tried to sweeten it up a bit. That's what I think of this. This is the same comparison. I don't know if I'm the first one to make it, but what do you think? I think this is Chaos and Creation with a little chocolate on it. How's that? So it's a little more palatable for people who don't like Chaos and Creation. After Home to Us, I love Mountaintop. Both of those songs are among my favorites. I said right now, at this point, there are 9 tracks on this album that I like quite a bit, and those are 2 of the 9. You really consider The Long and Winding Road a classic that will stand the test of time in the same as Yesterday? What do you mean talking about? You mean Days We Left Behind? Well, I don't know if you're talking about Days. Are you asking me do I consider Days We Left Behind a song that will stand the test of time? The thing that sucks about it when we discuss these things is that we all love the Beatles. The Beatles are great. You can't touch the Beatles. Yada yada yada. We all know the Beatles are classics, and nothing can come close, right? And so, is Yesterday really that much better of a song than Days We Left Behind? We Left Behind. I think that song, unless you're asking about Long and Winding Road, I thought this might be like a typo here. But I think Days We Left Behind is of the caliber now of Long and Winding Road and Yesterday for these times. It's the kind of thing that will resonate long after Paul has passed. And when you hear Days We Left Behind after Paul leaves us this earth, I think it will really resonate. And I think it'll stand the test of time, because everybody has a feeling and sentiment for remembering the old days, the days that are gone, the days we left behind, and the emotional and tearful kind of vibe that Days gives. But as far as if you're asking about Long and Winding Road being along with Yesterday, yes, I think Long and Winding Road and Yesterday are both classics that will stand the test of time. So I covered a few bases there, I think. Right? As You Lie There, Come Inside, Mountaintop, Salesman Saint are all creative, complex, and surprisingly musically, to me anyway, fun to listen to all the details. I am not a fan of Salesman Saint. And I feel like when I say I'm not a fan of Salesman Saint, I feel like I'm kind of like disrespecting Paul's mom and dad. That's what the song's about. I'm not disrespecting them. I have respect for the sentiment of the song. I just don't think it's musically much. It doesn't interest me. Was it worth a 6-year wait? Excuse me. I think it was. I think most fans are saying it was. Paul put a lot of time into it, and for good reason. I remember when people were asking me what's going on with Paul's new album, I used to say, well, whatever's going on, I think that Paul really must be trying hard to get a hit out of this, or a solid album, if not a hit, something that means something, or that and this certainly means something. Whether it's a hit or not, it means something. It has feeling, it has emotion, it has commentary about himself. And he did it. I think he did it. I said I think he's trying to make this a really good album, and I think he did. It's definitely not a masterpiece, but there's some great stuff on it. Do you think the album ends on a downer? It's funny because you talk about the song "Mama Gets By." "Mama Gets By" is kind of, according to Paul, it's fictional. It's not about his mother and father, but it's basically about. I guess it is because you have Mama, the mother, trying to keep strong and hold down the fort, while Dad is kind of a screw up. So Mom's trying to hold everything together, and that's positive. But the sound of it, the sound of the orchestration, and all the sadness in a way about it makes it seem like a downer. So I guess it can be a downer or a positive song, depending on your outlook. Side B is actually stronger than side A, I feel. Some people have said that too. Absolutely. Okay. Zumavavan says, hello, Joe. The new McCartney album, definitely a winner. I think most of us feel that. And as I say, although I feel it's a winner, I don't feel it's perfect. You know what I mean? I mean, what I mean perfect is, although I like all the tracks, they're not all, I wouldn't give them all A, you know? Right. I wouldn't call Walls and Bridges or George Harrison's self-titled masterpiece, but I'm saying that if Boys of Dungeon Lane's a masterpiece, then those two should be, since they're better. It's hard for me to figure that out because, I don't know about that. It's a tough thing, Marcus, for me to call on that because there's different circumstances. I mean, this could be Paul McCartney's last album. We don't know yet, but if this is his swan song, it has a different success rate than if it was just an album, one of his midlife albums. Does that make any sense? If this is his last statement, I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree with that, and I don't really like to get into, well, is Boys of Dungeon Lane better or not as good as Walls and Bridges or the self-titled George Harrison? It's hard to say because I spent a lot of years listening to the self-titled George Harrison and to John's Walls and Bridges. So as a result of that, I'm biased towards them. Too early for me to make that determination. I just watched a video by Wings of Pegasus talking about Paul's voice on a Saturday Night Live show when he did Help. I don't know. I've seen some ridiculous stuff by him, actually. That's my feeling. But some things are respectable. I've seen some stuff. That's about how I feel. I feel at times he's respectable, and I respect what he's trying to do. And other times I think he goes a little too far. Talking about certain things with the pitch and all that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the John Lennon, as far as I'm concerned. The John Lennon live in New York City, they didn't really dramatically alter his voice or anything. Anyway, so I have mixed feelings. Not, I'm good and bad. Let's put it that way. Um, Hi, James. Listened to Boys of Dungeon Lane around 20 times. I think apart from Down South was a bit dull. I like and love the rest. Yeah, Down South is a track that I'm not too keen on either, because the only thing to me that Down South really has going for it is the nostalgia and the fact that it's really about Paul and George Harrison as teenagers hanging around and becoming friends and traveling together. It's a better sentiment. It's a better topic than it is an actual song. To me, this as a song, there's not much to it, but the sentimentality behind it, you know, the memories involved in it, that's nice. I saw Borrowed Time on Tubi, but couldn't get past the first several minutes. The mention of the would-be 1981 tour was interesting to me. Yeah, the thing I always say is John never said they were definitely going to tour. The last interview on RKO recorded only hours before he was murdered, sadly. He said, he'd like to go out and tour again, but I haven't, since I haven't seen it, I don't know, but people have informed me that there's more evidence now that they actually had a touring track list, or they had all the information, like they were going to tour. It was more than just in the back of his head. It was something they might have been working on, and that's news to me, because I didn't know that, just judging by John what he said. I saw a Paul interview with a young lady called Chicken Shop. Yeah, I saw the Chicken Shop interview. It was a little silly. I thought it was I didn't watch the entire thing. I thought it was silly, and I thought I tuned out during the part where, again, he talked about how she asked him, Paul, do you ever remember your dreams? And Paul said, yes, I tend to remember my dreams. I'm good at that. And he said, and then I'll tell you how I dreamt yesterday. And he talks. I said, that's it. I know there could be other questions that are better than that, but I don't want to hear that again. And I know he thought he dreamt up. He thought that it was another song. Yeah, I know the whole history of what he thought. Okay, I'm reading the comment, but trying to take care of my voice here. So there you go. What McCartney album is a masterpiece? Opinions. I think Tug of War qualifies as a masterpiece. I think Ram qualifies these days as a masterpiece. I don't think it was really that at the time. Ram, Tug of War, I would say A Band on the Run. One of my Flaming Pie, maybe. I don't know. Do you think Matt will burst into tears when we do our live show tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time? I hope not. I hope he has tissues handy. Funny, because I think Mountaintop is one of my least favorite tracks. Well, that's the beauty of this. That's fine. Everybody either likes or doesn't like something. The production of As You Lie There reminds me of Press to Play a bit. There's like there's like feelings of other albums in here. I hadn't noticed too much Press to Play, but now that you're mentioning it, maybe I could hear that. I've heard some Egypt Station in there. I've heard some Chaos and Creation in there. I've heard some New in there. Very Egypt Station guitars and structure on some tunes, and despite repeated warnings, is definitely in there. With a re-listen that I just took, I thought I heard some despite repeated warnings feelings, but I can't remember what track it was now. Damn. I don't remember if it was in I don't know if it was in Never Know. The part in the song where the part despite repeated warnings where Paul goes, whoa, 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 like he's getting depressed about I thought that sounds a little like that part. But look who's here, Marv, Beatle Vinyl 85. It's good to see you here, Marv. Good to see you. I'm at a stage where I'm listening to it on shuffle instead of order to freshen it up. Well, you listen to it a lot then, I guess. The gatefold sold out. That was fast. Well, I got the gatefold coming. When it's going to come, I don't know. Uh, Nothing can replace the days we left behind. I know I'm off key. Lost Horizon is the key to the whole album. Lost Horizon is one of my favorite tracks on the album. I love that song. Lost Horizon was a real surprise. The key to the whole album, whether people think it's the best or not, this song is the key. A Mama Gets By is worth speculating on which mama she might be. Well, it's not his mama. I know that because he said it wasn't. It was a fictional thing. Will it get to number one on the charts? Well, I think it has a good chance for two reasons. Number one, because of all the physical copies people are buying, that helps, but also based on its quality and word of mouth. This is getting really good write ups everywhere, and fans and critics are saying they like it everywhere, pretty much for the most part. And I'll tell you this, I came down hard on this, and I said, I don't like when artists try to sell a lot of like the same copies in different colors to get a number one or go that route. But I think this album deserves to be number one. Do you know what I'm saying? So I mean, some albums like McCartney 3, I felt when McCartney 3 came out, I liked McCartney 3. I don't think McCartney 3 has held up so well the last 6 years. There's still a lot of tracks I like, but I don't think it holds up like it did for me 6 years ago. But my point is, if that had get to number one, that album, I forget if it did or not. Did it get to number one in another country? I know Egypt Station did. But anyway, I don't think McCartney 3, for example, is worthy to be a number one album. This album, Boys of Dungeon Lane, I think is worthy of number one. As You Lie There is a very impressive song. I agree. I don't like the talking parts, but it's okay because Paul rocks and the guitar is fantastic in there, the guitar parts, and Paul's, guttural, amazing rock voice still. And you're right, there's interesting changes, there's interesting things happening. So much so that I could ignore deal with the talking part, spoken word part. Yes, I did see that. Tracks of My Years. Yes, it was really good. I recommend that too. Where McCartney talks about his, he lists I think 10 of his favorite songs. Is Jenny Wren the only live in concert from Chaos? I don't know about that. I think of Driving Rain as Paul's Plastic Ono band. Well, that's okay. I mean, Driving Rain, I dislike it a lot less than I used to. I used to really dislike it bad, but I don't dislike it that much anymore. And there's things I like on it, but I could see some aspects being like Plastic Ono band, but there's too much silliness on there too, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go forward, dry, or oh, the world's a tiny bubble, dee 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 dee. That's not exactly Plastic Ono band. Let's hear, depths of despair and stuff. I noticed in the song We Too, he uses a tape of music on fast forward at the end of the piece. Yeah, there's an effect at the end of there. Yes. Yesterday is Untouchable, been covered so many times too. The Days We Left Behind, as of now, is not a classic. Well, I think that a classic takes time. For you to call it I believe that a classic takes time to be a classic. But I think there's such a thing where you can say, I predict that such and such a song now may wind up being a classic later. And I think Days We Left Behind is now, I think it's one of the greatest songs Paul's ever done. And I think that I didn't think this when I first heard it, but now I feel it. And I think it will be a McCartney classic. I think it's one of his best. I'm talking about the quality of the melody, and only that. Long and Winding Road is way better than Days We Left Behind. Well, I don't know. Whatever. I disagree. I mean, what can I tell you? I know what I'm supposed to say. Long and Winding Road is a way better melody than Days We Left Behind. I know I'm supposed to say it's more emotional. I know I'm supposed to say it's better than that. Yesterday is better than Days We Left Behind. I'm supposed to say that as a Beatles fanatic since I was like 3 years old, but I don't know how I feel. Maybe I'm just burnt out. I'm very burnt out on Yesterday, and even more burnt out maybe on Long and Winding Road. But I'm not one of those people that believes that just because something is older, it's necessarily always going to be the best. Like the Rolling Stones. I think Hackney Diamonds right now is. If I made videos on this where I thought Hackney Diamonds was the best album. He say that? Well, I don't know about the best album. One of the best. You know, But I mean, yeah, like Sticky Fingers, and Some Girls, and those are among the best. I like I'm talking about the U.S. albums when I say like Out of Our Heads. I like that. And geez, what's the one? I mean, it's amazing the common albums that the names, you can't think of them. The one with Give Me Shelter on it. What the heck is the name of that? I can't even think what the heck the name of the album with the cake on it. Jeez, Let It Bleed. I think Let It Bleed is. But still, I put Hackney Diamonds right up there. Oh, you can't do that. That's a new album. Well, that's how I feel. Days We Left Behind isn't too far removed from Now and Then. It's just the sentimental. The emotion that it gives, I think, is very comparable to Now and Then. I would agree, but I think it sounds different. I don't think it sounds the same. I think it emotionally. Anything we get from Paul nowadays is welcome. Of course, we're blessed to have him. Yes, indeed. My second favorite is Mama Gets By, though. I wonder why he ended this personal album with a song about imaginary people. Maybe there's a reason I don't get. That's what Paul does. Are you kidding? I feel like John. Was there really a Rita in Love the Rita? Nah, he makes him up like a novelist. I mean, granted, Paul's good. Obviously, on this new album, he's talking a lot about himself, much to his credit. But it's not unusual for Paul to talk about imaginary people. That's what he does. Eleanor Rigby and so on, Lady Madonna. It's not unusual. But maybe you're saying, but why did he end this particular album? This is a personal album, and in this album, he ended it. Maybe that, yeah. In that case, I take it back. I don't know why he opted to do that. Looks like Paul did some collage of different parts of stuff he had. Like he often got cut off there at the end. Let's see. I saw a review by Andrew Dixon where he praised Paul and said Paul right now is better than his peers, like Dylan and Paul Simon. Dylan fans tore him up for that. Do you agree with Andrew? I haven't listened to I'll start with Paul Simon. I love Paul Simon. I think Paul Simon is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. One of my favorites. I haven't heard a lot of new Paul Simon, so I can't really tell. I don't know Paul Simon's new stuff, so I don't know. I know that Paul Simon's voice is not what it used to be, too. Dylan, well, I haven't heard a lot of new Dylan except for the standards that he did. He had that album out, Rough and Rowdy Ways, which I heard once, and it didn't do nothing for me, okay? I thought, I don't know, with Rough and Rowdy Ways, I heard it once, and I remember thinking, I like the words. I like what he's saying, but the music didn't grab me on Rough and Rowdy Ways, and I only heard it once, in all fairness, okay? Murder Most Foul, yeah, all the greats. So I don't know how I feel about that. Paul right now is better than peers like Dylan. Paul Simon, I don't know. I'm not fit to judge. And Dylan, I don't know. I don't know. He might be better than Dylan right now, or on par right now. We're just going by this album. Judging by this album, he's on par with Dylan. I don't know about better. It's hard to say. Have you listened to it enough times to be able to recall all the track titles in order? No. No. I feel like Mama Gets By is about Linda from Paul's perspective from after the Beatles breakup. Thoughts? I don't think so, but I can't. Yeah, we can speculate a lot of things. We all have that entitlement to do that. But I tend to go by what the artist says. And but he didn't say yes or no to that either, Jamie. So who knows? Maybe you're right. If you could interview Paul next week, but you could only ask Dungeon Lane questions, would you still do it? Yeah, absolutely. If all I could do was talk with him about Mickey Mouse, I'd talk to him. Any excuse to talk to him. Already did that, Darren. Thank you. Hello, James. Good evening. I got to say, a big well done to Paul. Love the new album. Is it up there with Ram or Tug of War? That's for the individual to decide, but it's a late career winner, no doubt. Well, that's how I feel about it. It is a late career winner. I think it's one of the best songs he's done in the last, out of the last 25 years. I just say the 21st century, from like 2000 to 2026. Boys of Dungeon Lane is one of his best albums. I haven't ranked them yet. I like Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. I like Memory Almost Full, and I like New very much. And this one, I think those are the ones I like from the 21st century quite a bit. So I'll say it again. I forgot them already because I'm looking at comments. No, but like New, I liked a lot. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard and Memory Almost Full, and this one. Not a big fan of Egypt Station all the way through. I mean, I like some of it, but not all of it. That didn't hold up for me so well. I played it again recently, and it didn't hold up as well. Egypt Station, McCartney 3 didn't hold up for me as well. Never was a big fan of Driving Rain. Electric Arguments, I still have to, it's funny. Electric Arguments is one album that I still got to familiarize myself with more. I don't know why. If you review this album in 6 months' time, will your opinions be different? Who knows? That's why some people believe out there you can't review an album until you've heard it a lot of times or give it a few years. Well, that's not how it works when you have a YouTube channel, or if you happen to be somebody who writes for a newspaper or a magazine or a website. You got to do the review timely. You got to do it now. I'm not saying you can't wait a week. You can wait a week. But some people out there, they believe you got to wait like a year, 2 years, 10 years, 5 years. No, but you can change opinions. Like I was saying, my opinion now is certainly not as good about McCartney 3 as it was six years ago. I feel differently about it now. I don't know how I'll feel about this album till we get to this 6 month period. Have you lost sleep to have more time to listen to the album? I've lost sleep, but not because I need more time to listen to the album. I don't know what it is. I think because I'm like a kid on Christmas morning, happily so. The fact that like I want to get up. I woke up like 5:30 today, and I'm like, that's too early. I always say I'm a morning person. I'd like to wake up about 7. To get up at 4:30, 5. It's too early. And I go to bed late. I go to bed like midnight, maybe 12:30, sometimes 1. So that's not a lot of sleep. I like to get at least 6 hours. Lately, I've been averaging like 4, maybe 5 if I'm lucky. But anyway, like a kid on Christmas morning, I can't wait to get up, see what comments I've gotten overnight, respond to people. People know if you follow my channel, I like to keep up with comments. I like to give everybody I can a heart to let you know that I read your comment pretty much. And I want to see what videos other people have put up, especially right now when we have something exciting like this, a new Paul album that everybody's really getting into. I want to see my friends on YouTube. I want to see what videos they've put up, people I like and admire. So, yeah, not because I'm listening to the album, but because I'm excited about what's in store the next day. Boys of Dungeon Lane have many positive reviews. Some have obviously been AI created. Yeah, there's that too these days, isn't there? I don't think it's a classic yet. Classics take time to fully appreciate. Look how long it took for Ram to get the respect it deserves. True. But as I say, I do believe you can tell if you feel an album is a contender for a classic down the line. Might not be right now, but it can be. Will you ever have? Will you have every color vinyl by the end of the week? I will not have every color vinyl by the end of the week, nor the end of the year, or the end of the decade, because I've just made a choice that I don't want or need all of it anymore. That's just my choice, and I know a lot of people out there, they have fun believing, that I will continue to buy every variant because that's what they do. How much more can you expect from an 83-year-old man? This album is impressive for somebody that old. Paul is still writing really good songs. Amen to this, Yelly Man. They are really good songs for the most part, and on the record, his voice sounds good because there definitely was something done to his voice, whether it's a little auto tune, whether it's AI, I don't know, some kind of help or trickery, except on two songs. Again, I got to look at it. The two songs are he sounds rough on Down South, but I think that's intentional. I think Down South is like the song Early Days from the album New in 2013. He's talking about his past and he sounds like an old wizened man. So his voice sounds more natural on Down South. And there's another one too that I'm not crazy about his voice on it though. Life Can Be Hard. He's got a high register, and then only two songs out of 14 that I think his voice is whatever you want to call it, not as smooth. But I think for the most part, it works on this. It works on this. And he is writing good songs. It's amazing what he's able to pull off. And we say 83, but he's closer to 84. Some people nail me for that. Sometimes I'll just say loosely, Paul's 84. And they go, he's not 84 yet. He's 83. He was born on June 18th. You're not the age you are until midnight. Well, I was born 8 o'clock at night. So when my birthday comes at midnight, do I have to wait all the way to 8 p.m. before I could be considered? By your logic, I'm not, even on my birthday, I'm not that new age until I get to, 8 o'clock p.m. You know what I mean? I'm just generalizing. He's more 84 than he is 83 now, right? He's close at 84, so it's okay to generalize. I know it's not official. It's not legal. It's not going to be on, a certificate. Anyway, hello, James. Paul is really good. I listened to it on Spotify. It sounds really good. I don't want to get vinyl because there's always a possibility of getting scratched. It's nice to have a choice. Who was it that said I heard somebody say that they got the Gatefold album, which I think was printed and pressed in Czechoslovakia. And they said that it sounds scratchy and poppy and messy, the album with the Gatefold. Let me know what your experiences are out there, because that's what, I don't, new vinyl. I'm not thrilled with new vinyl. I like old vinyl, but new vinyl, I'm not thrilled with it. I buy it, I collect it, but I play CDs mostly. Jack Douglas said John was planning a world tour after he finished the sequel to Double Fantasy. Yeah, Jack Douglas, thank you for reminding me. I didn't say his name, but I thought it was him that he had said that. Let's not forget that on Tug of War, even Band on the Run, many tracks were throwaways, as John would say. I don't love every track on Band on the Run. I don't like Picasso's Last Words, and I don't like, forgetting words. The other one says word in it. What the hell is the other one? No Words. Those songs I don't really like on Band on the Run. And on Tug of War, it's pretty consistent to me, but I could do without Get It by Carl Perkins and Paul and Carl Perkins. Nothing against Carl. I just don't, that song I'm not wild about. Perhaps Paul should have dreamed Tom as well. Tomorrow. Sorry, Jesus. Perhaps Paul should have dreamed Tomorrow as well. I love the song Queenie Eye a couple of years ago. Try 13. You believe Queenie Eye and the album New is 13 years ago already? Wow. Okay. I wouldn't call Back to the Egg a masterpiece, but I do think it is underrated. I agree with you. Very underrated. It has some great tracks on it. It does have some tunes that are individual masterpieces. I love Arrow Through Me. I love Arrow Through Me too, but I like that album very much. Back to the Egg. It's one of my Paul favorites. Wings Over America live LP, the rock show concert qualifies as McCartney masterpieces. I guess Wings Over America. You know, if you ever meet McCartney, tell him to stop telling the we wouldn't go to the USA without a number one lie. Then ask him how he wrote yesterday. He never talks about it. Yeah. I heard several other albums in there. One that comes to mind is Nod Your Head. Nod Your Head is a fun little idiot that I like. Oh, As You Lie There. Nah, I never thought of that. As You Lie There is Nod Your Head. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of, I've been listening to the album, and there's songs in there that sound like other songs. I can't always place them. Despite Repeated Warnings is one of my favorite Paul stuff that he did in recent years. They showed John and Yoko 1-to-1 on TV over here last night. Really interesting to watch. Yeah, that was good. Talk about the documentary, right? The documentary, the 1-to-1 story, not the concert itself, right? McCartney 3 was a UK number one. Thank you. I thought so. Yeah. Okay. Thank you much. I'm seeing it. Well, I said that a long time ago, but anyway. Caleb, what's going on? Good evening, Joe. Paul has still got it. He does. Somebody told me, oh, Paul, where's the rock? Paul doesn't rock on this album. I mentioned earlier, he does have the rock voice, and he rocks a couple of times. Which of the new tracks do you think Paul would add to his tour? I have no idea, but I think Days We Left Behind, because it's a hit, and because he did it on Saturday Night Live. And I also think he could do Home to Us. Even if Ringo wasn't there, he could just sing all the verses. Maybe. Could he do that? I guess he could. I'm trying to picture him. Sing a verse, sing another verse, sing a verse. Best song from Driving Rain is Magic. A touchy tribute to Linda. Touching, you mean touching, not touchy. But I do like that song, Magic. I do. You like my McCartney impression? What do you think Anthony will think of Dungeon Lane? I don't know what Anthony would think of it, but I know I talked to Danny, and Danny loves it. He doesn't have the record. He just was playing the tracks. I think he wants to get the album now physically. He wants to get the CD, I think. But he likes the whole album, Danny said. He's loving every track on Dungeon Boys at Dungeon Lane. Do you think it was possible to over-promote the album? Paul was everywhere. No, I don't think so. We'll see. I don't think so. Mike Waljasper, hello. Yeah, Paul said he owns hundreds of guitars, and I heard that part too with the chicken interview. You love it when I sing. What are you hard of hearing or something when I sing? Well, it was my hometown. As you lie there, do you ever think of me in your head? I don't know. I'm trying to do the spoken part. So if this album is Macca's best since 97, that makes it the best album the second half of his post-Beatles career. I don't know if it's his best since 97. I still think that the Chaos and Creation, I still think that Memory Almost Full, and I still think that New or Good too. So anyway, I love Yesterday. I don't listen to it very often, but it is a beautiful song and possibly Paul's first big classic. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Imagine when Revolver and Pepper first came out, the first listen must have blown people's heads off. Instant masterpieces. Although, I know that Sgt. Pepper actually got some poor reviews, or at least one notorious poor review. Hackney Diamonds is a great album. The best Stones album since Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street is the Stones' White Album. It's fantastic, and I still haven't heard it. Great album, though it's supposed to be. Haven't heard it all the way through. I'm 100% sure that As You Lie There has almost the same melody part as Come On To Me. The first time I heard it, it really stood out to me. I don't know. It doesn't sound anything like Come On To Me, but maybe I got to listen a little harder. Part of making a song a classic is the emotions we give them because of where we were in our lives when they were released. They become part of our lives. That happens to me with everything. I can listen to a song that takes me right back to where I was and what I was doing then. Absolutely. Two key album themes on nostalgia and forever. Once you consider what forever means, it puts a new meaning on nostalgia. Paul was getting at this in 2007 with My Ever Present Past. I mean, I do like that song, by the way, Ever Present Past, but that's really more of a deliberate poppy kind of attempt to get a hit. It's a good song. It's a pop, and it's poppy and zippy, but Ever Present Past is like it just it's not as deep as it should be. You Okay, there you go. I saw Dixon's video. He was saying that musically, Paul was more interesting than Dylan, not lyrically. Oh, definitely. But well, if you say musically, yeah. Well, Paul's always. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I like Bob Dylan. I'm a fan. I have most of his albums. I've heard most of his stuff. And Dylan, I consider myself a Dylan fan, but with him, it's more about the lyrics and the words and the way his attitude when he sings those words. It's not about music. I mean, God knows there's a lot of good music, a lot of good tunes, I guess, in Dylan. But no, Paul's definitely a better music writer. Always was and still is. So there you go, in my opinion. Okay, that was for somebody else. The melody is the most important thing for a song, and nobody writes better melodies than Paul. I agree. I agree. Heard on the radio, Paul's worth 1.2 billion. Imagine his bank statements. He can put the heating on whenever he likes and leave all of his house lights on TVs on all day. I was thinking of this the other day. He could buy a new, people like me. Like if my car goes out and I need a new car, it's going to be tough. I have to get a car payment. I'm going to try to scrounge up the money or do something. I got to pay half of it. Pay half. My girlfriend will pay half. We'll try to get a new used car. Paul could buy a new car every day. Every week. I'll buy a new car every week. I thought about that the other day. Come Inside is a banger, as is the last 20 seconds of Mountaintop. No argument there on those points. With Paul about to turn 84, to release a rock album of this quality and energy is an amazing achievement. Except for the Stones, who else does this? And don't forget the Stones, there's more than one of them, too. Yeah, it's an amazing achievement. I mean, this album, Boys of Dungeon Lane, is better than I could have ever hoped for Paul at this stage of his life, I think. Hello, Nick. Fabulous album. I agree, Nick. I'm delighted with the album. I think it's fabulous is a good word. Exciting time for your Beatles and McCartney aficionados. New melodies and songs from a fab. It's exciting. It sure is. I'm glad, too, that younger people have a chance to enjoy this. Young people out there, right? Because I always think, I feel sorry for some younger fans who might not have experienced a lot. Because I've been buying Paul's new albums, new records since the 70s, not the early 70s, the late 70s. London Town, Back to the Egg, really. And I remember Wings of the Speed of Sound when it was on the radio, but I didn't buy it at the time. Anyway, but there are people out there that are enjoying this. They get to experience the thrill of going to like a listening party at their record store, getting swag, merch, watching Paul on TV, seeing him in concert. It's wonderful. I just hope Paul adds a few of these tracks to his set list. Me too. They really sound good with the band. In any cases, I can't hear Let Me Roll It Again. I just can't. I know how you feel. I loved that song. Loved until I heard him beat it into the ground live so much. If Macca releases the leftover songs from this album, would you want them immediately or would the wait make it better? I'll take them either way, I guess. I really can't think of a preference. If he puts them out like as bonus tracks, the thing's great. If he holds on to them or his family holds on to them, hopefully, or whatever, and they put it out as another Paul album, that would be okay too. Bob Dylan's words were weapons, truthful, dangerous weapons and messages, amazing clinical writing, different to Paul's writing, but both genius. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, here we go again, talking about Dylan's voice. Dylan can't sing for shit. Anyway, I don't want to hear that anymore because that's the point. If you don't get Dylan, you don't get Dylan. That's part of it is what he says and how he says it, even with his limited voice. Did you listen to When I'm 64 since you turned 64? Actually, no, I haven't. I don't know if no, I haven't heard it. I don't think. I think the album is a classic, and his voice on Down South suits the song. I agree about that song. Yes, it's what you would expect from someone his age. If you want 27-year-old voices, go listen to Harry Styles. Well said. I agree, Gary, very much, and that's what makes it. The same thing about goes for the song "Early Days" on the album "New." It makes it because Paul's singing like an old guy. I lived through those early days. That's the point of it. You can't have 22-year-old Paul singing that, for God's sake. I hope the new Stones album is as good as Hackney Diamonds was. Well, that was my concern. I thought that the Hackney Diamonds was so great, so practically flawless, that I thought that would be a great album for them to go out on. But no, they want to put another one out. There's songs left over from that and everything. Let's see if it's as good, let alone better. I don't know. Mad Team Parents. I saw him at the listening party. His name's Ira, and he's in the video as Ira. I should have said in the video, it's Mad Team 3 Parents. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good seeing you again. Hello, Black Chub Bear. I just noticed that Paul, MPL, and Capitol Records haven't re-released Memory Almost Full. I think he should re-release that soon. Okay. What did you think about the video Queenie Eye with the guest stars Johnny Depp, Meryl Streep, etc.? I love Meryl Streep. That's all I could tell you. Yeah, it was a good video. I didn't like the video with Johnny Depp for My Valentine too much, but whatever. Yes, the one-to-one documentary I saw. I recorded it too, so I'll watch it again soon. No, the best song from Driving Rain is Heather. That's a good one too. It's funny because you wrote Heater. Man, yeah, Heather. So when do we think the Wings at the Speed of Sound 50th anniversary is coming? They still think it's going to happen. I'm not talking about Paul or his people. I'm talking about fans. The fans still think it's going to happen, but I haven't heard anything. Would Paul's younger voice have worked on his new album tracks? No, I don't think so. Maybe some of them maybe, but for the most part, he's writing for how as his voice is now, and that's what I've come to feel about Paul with his so-called old man voice. I've come to accept it because it's like your grandfather. Say you have a dear grandfather. You knew your grandfather when he was 40s. You knew your grandfather when he was 50, 60, whatever. Maybe you have your grandfather. My grandfather lived to be nearly 88 years old. He died almost 88. And he wasn't the same when he got. He was slower. He talked differently. He had some. He was an old man. But I accepted him for who he was. He was different. But he still was the same man. You know what I'm saying? That's a good analogy, I think, with Paul for you people out there that can't get past his voice. And God knows, I'm not trying to do a complete holier than thou turnaround. I criticize Paul live at times. I have and I will. But on this album, he's very good on this album. And people don't like me saying, for a guy almost 84, they say, oh, well, if you have to add that part, he sounds pretty good for an 83, 84-year-old, then it's not good. It's good. Okay? You have to accept it. This is Paul today. He's writing about how he feels now. Even if it's reminiscing about the past, it's his feelings now as a senior man, as an old man, looking back. And this is part of the history. This is him at this moment. Every album is as he was when he was 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So now we get how Paul is, how he feels and interacts and sings. as an 80-something-year-old. You either accept it or you don't. You either say, "Not, I want Ed Sullivan Paul. It's Ed Sullivan Paul for me or nothing." Well, then have nothing. Have nothing. Don't ruin it for everybody else. And God knows, I've been guilty of that sometimes with live reviews about live performances. Oh yeah, I enjoy the new album. Now I will have to hear it again and again and see what will be on my repeats like these other albums. Okay. uh, with all these streams, I take it Movie Monday is canceled. Well, I don't know about that yet. I don't know about that. I don't think it is, but we'll see. I do a movie show on my other channel, Mr. Cinemayo. So check that out. It's on my movie channel. Yeah, absolutely. Very proud, very proud. Yes, I did. I attended last night. I attended a record store party and I made a video. If you want to check it out, I videotaped, phone recorded some of the party. Younger kids are very interested in Paul and the Beatles. I would say, in all fairness, yes, a good amount of them are. Not all of them, but a good amount. There are always going to be enough of them. Let's put it that way. I wish the Stones would put out a Third Man Records white label version of Foreign Tongues because the album cover looks awful. Yeah, I saw the album cover, didn't like it. London Town was my first new McCartney album. Do you think the Dungeon Lane artwork should or could have been better? It doesn't do much for me, but now I'm so used to it that I'm okay with it, kind of. But it would have been nicer to have a little more art on there other than just the sign thing. I need your ranking of It's All Too Much, All My Loving, Anytime at All. There's a lot of tracks, man. All My Loving, Anytime at All I Got to Do, all together now. Oh, come on. Let's do this. Let's try it. I mean, it's fun, but there's a lot of tracks here. Let's see. And how about I say, this is how I feel about it right now, at this present time. At this present time, I'll go with, you may not believe it. You may not believe this. All I've got to do is my number one out of these. All I got to do. All My Loving, Anytime at All. It's All Too Much, and All Together Now Last. At the listening party I went to, there were lots of young people there, as well as the originals. Yes, I saw it too. Yeah, young people too. Very, very good. Yeah. Hello, Vivian. My favorite song is Never Know. Overall, I think I still prefer McCartney 3. Interesting. Okay, thank you for that viewpoint. Would love to hear him sing As You Lie There Live. Oh, I don't know if he can handle it. Think he can handle it? I don't know. London Town was my first McCartney at Corvettes when I was 14. Leftovers from this album, if released as a new album, could be what Pipes of Peace was to Tug of War. Be careful or beware what we wish for. Yeah. I've always called Pipes of Peace like Tug of War leftovers, you know. Paul recounts that last time he met Dylan told him, "You're a star." Dylan has gone on record as saying he's very, very impressed by Paul McCartney. Very impressed. And I think he said something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing him, not many people impress me as much as him, something like that. Even Paul said that Dylan in concert today is very confusing and annoying to fans. Paul always says he wants to please the fans. Well, Dylan always changes. He says he went to a Dylan concert and he doesn't know what he was singing because he changes the songs too much, the pacing of the songs. I saw him one time at Dylan. I saw Dylan one time in 1989. It was god awful. I couldn't recognize any of the songs barely. But then I saw him in 2013 with the Tempest tour, and I liked it. It was better. And I like that album, Tempest. It's one of my favorite Dylan albums of recent times. Do you have an early favorite from Dungeon Lane yet? Well, yeah. Let me put it this way: there's 9 songs that I like very much right now, out of 14, 9 out of 14. But the one that I'm really the most keen on, that's really impressing me and surprised me, is the second song, Lost Horizon. I love Lost Horizon. Not many people are talking about it. I love the vibe of that song, the the tune, the way he sings the lines. I love it. Do you think Paul has another quality album in him? Oh, I didn't think he had a quality album. This one surprised me. I would think so after this released. After this release, still quite a bit in the tank. Well, you go by, you can only go by how the last album is coming off, because this album it seems to be quite a success and people seem to like it as much as they do. Naturally, we think, oh, he's got more in the tank. He's still got it. If it was, after McCartney 3, which again I still liked McCartney 3, didn't love it, I liked it. But a lot of people say after McCartney 3, they really thought he had it still. I don't know. Maybe he did after McCartney 3 too. Anyway, who knows? Hello, Apple Jams. What's going on? I've only just joined. Did we decide on the best song from the album? I'm going to go with either The Days We Left Behind or Mama Gets By. I won't answer that question myself right now because, again, I'll just mention that tomorrow, doing a live stream with my friend Matthew Street from the Matthew Street YouTube channel, and we're going to do it at 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be us ranking the songs from the least favorite to the most favorite. And I have a song that I consider my favorite from the album. And I'm not going to tell you what it is right now because it'll be better if I wait till the show. So please tune in tomorrow, 1 p.m. live. And if you want to join in the comments, please do. You can list your songs. We take them one at a time. We start with 14, then I say to everybody, okay, here's our favorites. Now what's yours? And I scroll down. I can't include everybody. I mean, everybody. It depends, how much time we have, and then we do 13 and we do 12. We go to number 1. Ripples in a Pond would work live. It's catchy and poppy. Yeah, I could see, good point. I could see him doing Ripples in a Pond live. I could see that. Have you listened to any Beatles or Wings music in the last 48 hours or only the Dungeon Lane? I think I've only listened to Dungeon Lane in the last 48 hours. Yes, I'm collecting the 50th anniversary McCartney vinyl with the color Obi strips. I got rid of mine. I had the Obies. I sold them. I told you I'm downsizing, purging things. Yeah. That Dungeon Lane cardboard thing in your video, did you ask the store if you could buy it? I did. They said no. And that's really the end of it, which I didn't expect them to sell it, and certainly not now, maybe, but anyway. My dad is 74. He got Sgt. Pepper when he was 15. I got Flamin' Pie when I was 15. Nice to share a new Paul album together. Okay, we're almost at 90 minutes here. I don't mind this. I love it. But, there's a lot of questions to read, Were you a fan of Marilyn Monroe? Not especially. I wasn't a fan, but I didn't dislike her or anything. I think she was an attractive woman, and she was pretty sexy, and that's about the extent of it. I hope you do Mr. Cinemayo tomorrow with Tom and 4D Man in good spirits. Well, it's not tomorrow. It's Monday. This is Saturday, so still got to get through Sunday, and I hope I'm able to do it. Do you think we'll get that long-awaited Rubber Soul album with a new mix this year? It's funny. I still think we're going to get Rubber Soul, if not this year, maybe next year. But I tell you, it's a little anticlimactic for me at this point. I do think we're going to get it. I just don't know whether it'll be the end of this year or next year. I live in the state of New York. That's where I live. Yep. Let's see where we're at here. Do you think you have to own lots of variations of the album to be a true fan? No, I don't. Dungeon Lane ads were on the big jumbotrons in the big Times Square in Tokyo last night. Greetings from Japan. Greetings to you. Tokyo is a place I'd like to visit someday. There's not many places. I'm not really a traveler, but that's a place that I often thought I'd like to go to. Dylan actually said that he's in awe of McCartney because of his abilities to write good melodies. I think it was other stuff too, though. I think it was everything that he can do. Saw Dylan once too in a small venue in Cardiff, South Wales. He blew me away. LPs are us. Hello. He says, hey all, just listened 3 times. I feel overall the best album Sir Paul has put together in decades, and he plays virtually all the instruments himself. Amazing, yeah. That is also quite impressive. Musically what Paul can do, and melodic wise what he can still do. I am not Mexican, but some people have thought I was Mexican, and I just turned 64. Okay, where are we at? All right. McCartney 3 is my least favorite recent release, but Lavatory Lil is one of my favorite newer Paul songs. I like it too. Lavatory Lil. I used to say lavatory, but he says lavatory, so that's how I say it. I think Dungeon Lane is an album rather than a collection of songs. I think they all hold together so well. Maybe when taken out of their placement as part of the whole, they would not work. That's a good point. That happens a lot of times with certain albums. It is a very cohesive album, Dungeon Lane, and the songs work better together, I think. Yeah, good point. Good point. I find his voice actually very impressive and strong. It's studio, but still. Yeah, exactly. They do what you got to do. I mean, you can still tell it's Paul, and, I think he really does a good job of it. Now you have the album. How much more do you love the cover? I don't really love the cover at all, but I'm okay. I'm adjusted to it, is really what it comes down to. However, if I had to pick a favorite at this present time, it would be Mountaintop. That's a good one. It's a strong one. I agree. Do you think the youth of today only know McCartney as his new releases push back the past stagnant Lennon or Harrison music? Only McCartney as his new releases push back. I see what you're saying. Almost always, whenever I see a younger person getting asked, which happens, who's your favorite Beatle? 9 times out of 10 they say Paul, and I understand that because Paul's been very active. He's been, thank God, he's blessed us with his undying passion for work and to please people, and he likes the adulation. He admitted that recently. He likes the adulation, but yeah, I think that's why I've always said that when the time comes that Paul goes, when he's not here, when Paul passes on, after some years pass, a few years after that, new fans will only come into it. They'll only come into it from the perspective of all the Beatles. And after Ringo passes, John, Paul, and George, especially the main writers, they're all going to be on equal ground. I think they'll look at them differently. But right now, I think newbies they don't think too much of George and John as much. That's all. Okay. I see you. Amy, hold on a minute. Amy, I don't know where it is. Where's Amy's thing? There it is. Hello, Amy. Thank you so much for your contribution. I appreciate that again, as you do. Thank you. From saw her standing there the days left behind, I still think John's approval is what lovingly matters most to Paul. The thing is, I think Paul likes anybody's approval, I believe, but John's mattered a lot to him. And I also think that it helped him a lot of times. But Paul has said in recent times, he only complimented me once, for here, there, and everywhere. That's the only time he complimented. I know that John said that he liked Hey Jude. He loved that song and stuff like that. I'm not trying to tell Paul what he knows, but I tend to think that Paul may be forgetting or something. I think John, would have given him more compliments. I'm sorry, I'm losing the comments here. Dylan, oh yeah, we did this already. I'm sorry. Let me just see where I was going to get the new Paul CD at a local record store till I saw it cost $24, so I passed on it. It was $20 when I got it. It was $20. Prices go up. If Rachel features the album tomorrow and there's no barn burner, I'll try and show how Dungeon Lane, big bold nod to Bacharach, opens absolutely everything. Yeah, I haven't watched Rachel lately. I want to know what she thinks of the new album. Great to hear about your show with Matthew Street. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. I'll have to see if I can tune in for that. And if you can't tune in for it, you can watch it on a playback. It'll be available as a video playback again. That's tomorrow, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, depending where you are in the world, 1 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be doing a live stream with my friend Matthew Street from the Matthew Street channel. We're going to be ranking and talking about all the songs from Boys of Dungeon Lane, from number 14 to our favorite. And looking forward to that. Every time Paul releases a new album, it cheers me up. I got to give him that, man. I got to give him that. It's a very good year, Sergeant Pepper, when I was 15. I got to start watching the Mr. Mayo channel. Please do. I'm gonna put the banner up here for you all. This one here. That's the name of the channel, and you can see it's about movies, television, nostalgia, pop culture, a lot of stuff. No Beatles. The Beatles stuff is here, and most of the music stuff's here. But for that kind of stuff that you see on the bottom, please subscribe. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much. I'll leave that up just for a little while, and then I'll take it down. Please give us Rubber Soul. Did you give it away by accident? Lost Horizon, perhaps? Oh, shit. What did I say? You never know. Maybe I did. Excuse me. The song, It Will Save Me for Him. It's tough, man. I'm sorry. I'm talking to somebody else. Andrew Watt, producer on the new forthcoming Stones album. That is very interesting. Rubber Soul is better than Sgt. Pepper. Am I right? Just different. It's just different. I don't know. I see a lot of young kids do reaction videos of Paul McCartney songs like Maybe I'm Amazed and Silly Love Songs. Well, I also do John Lennon songs and Beatles songs. Do I have children? Not that I'm aware. I know that's trying to be funny there. I'm a big fan of Elvis Presley songs from the 70s. Also, a big fan of John Lennon. These two are the best singers in the world. Well said. Well said. I'm afraid this new album will only be listened by people of our age group, 50 plus. There's young people out there buying them too. It's okay. I don't care at this point. I think that at this present moment, Paul is chilling at home, wearing his Rupert the Bear PJs, sipping a margarita, and listening to the Archers. Old man or not, he's still Beatle Paul. If John hadn't liked or hadn't even heard Coming Up, or perhaps Rock Lobster, do we still get Double Fantasy? I'm glad you added Rock Lobster in there, because one of the newest myths going around in Beatledom is that the reason that John recorded Double Fantasy was because he loved Coming Up. And that's bullshit. Yes, he did love Coming Up. He liked it. He said he liked it. It's in an interview clip in a recording studio. But he basically always talked about he was in a nightclub listening to the B-52s doing Rock Lobster and heard them doing sounded like a Yoko impression. And he said, they're ready for us. They're ready. They get it. And that's what really made him. I think Coming Up might have been one of the things. Coming Up might have had, it was in his head was one of the things that made him think, maybe I'll do that. But people are starting to think that that's the sole reason. He said, oh, wow, I love this new Paul song. I want to record again. That didn't happen. It just didn't. So I'll take this off now. There you go. Boom. All right. Your movie show is good. We get to see movie experts and Joe talk about films. Yeah. And the movie show is usually Monday nights live. Monday. So check out the movie show over there. I think Paul plays drums on most of the album. I know Ringo plays drums on Home to Us. Nothing's better than Rubber Soul. Okay, it looks like, are we near the end? For the first time, we don't have any comments. I've been getting pretty steady comments, so maybe it's time to pull the plug or go a little longer, depending how it's going here. Let me know what you feel like doing, because you always know when you do a live stream, you always get the feel as to when it's time to say, okay, move on. And we might have been there now. What's for dinner? It's supposed to be meatloaf. You will start to buy Rolling Stones in the future. I have most of the Rolling Stones albums, and I probably am going to buy the new one. I'm not sure if I like the way Ono and Sean are handling John's music. I think he's being sanitized, and I'm not into that. Warts and all. It's how it should be. Well, I give my honest opinions, on the Lennon estate. And basically, I think they're doing a great job of handling it. However, I don't like a couple of things. I don't like when sometimes saxophones, in particular, are mixed out of John's work sometimes, and I don't like, of course, that the controversial song on "Sometime in New York City" about women was left off the album. I understand fully the pressures they're under. They're under amazing pressures in this day and age today, and they're kind of playing both sides of the fence. So, but I was very disappointed. I wish they would have put that song on the album the way John intended it and Yoko intended it, and I wish they would have had a disclaimer or an explanation or something if necessary. That's all I could say about that. I do remember my first CD. I don't remember everything. My first record, I don't remember. My first CD was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, an album called Good Music from 1986, a new album at the time. Oh, there you go. I'm hoping to get to New York next year. One day I hope to meet with you, and I'll even get you to dig Press to Play. Peace and love, Beatle Bro. Thanks, Gary. I hope so. That would be nice. Come get in touch. Maybe we could meet up or something. I tried to play my first CD on a turntable. Oh, you must have had a few of those drinks that you were having the other night. Come on. I just recently discovered John's song, How Do You Sleep? I really like that song, and George's slide guitar. Yeah. Hey, like I said, John said, if I can't have a fight with my best friend, who can I have a fight with? And then, after a while, they patched it up and everything. It was an interesting footnote in Beatles history that they had a little feud for a little bit. John said, as long as Paul is recording rubbish stuff, I can rest, but now he's doing Coming Up, and that's when I felt he had to put out something new. I don't remember where that was. Okay, about the new album. It really ain't that good. People are just wanting it to be good when it's really not. I'll bend a little bit here. I think people are wanting it to be a masterpiece when I'm not sure it is. It is a good album. It is a good album. It's maybe even a really good album. But I think, in my opinion, some fans, because it could be Paul's last, and because they're really rooting for him, and because he's going to be 84, I think they really want this to be like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I wouldn't quite go there. I think it's a good, solid Paul album, and maybe even very good. But I don't. I think they go a little overboard. Yeah. All right. On this note, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, Gary. That's a good way to sign off. Thank you all for being here. And yes, well, this is a better way to sign off because I am. I'm very honest, and I will criticize. And I was going to sign off, and there's more comments coming about the Ian Leslie book, John and Paul's relationship. Yes. Yep. Very interesting relationship. And they did love each other. They did. And that's what happens, in love. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Anyway, great live stream. Great talking, everybody. Thank you to the people like Robbie and Amy who were nice enough to help out with a contribution. You got to pay the bill. You got to keep the lights on in here. You got to keep on buying things to show you. How you're going to see it. I know. But also, it helps. I got to pay for StreamYard every month. There's a bill for this to do live. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget, one last closing thought. Tomorrow, 1:00 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be doing a live ranking of the songs from Boys of Dungeon Lane with my friend Matthew Street of the Matthew Street channel. We're going to rank these from our least favorite track to our most favorite track. And you can do so too in the comments if you like. Play along with us. So see you then, everybody. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody.